The UK's decision in June to leave the European Union is already being felt by ordinary Britons. On Tuesday, we saw that consumer prices rose in July because of the plunge in the value of the pound. But it hasn't all been bad news. Fewer people filed for unemployment benefits last month, and the latest data shows that British shoppers indulged in some major retail therapy after the tumultuous vote. Azhar Sukri has more.
A wise person once said that when the going gets tough, the tough go shopping. With the craziness over the Brexit vote still playing out on the news and the summer sun shining, that seems to be exactly what people in the UK did last month. In the immediate aftermath of the vote to leave the EU, retail sales growth slowed sharply. Many shop owners attributed the drop to bad weather. But by July, the weather had improved and people were spending again. The latest figures show sales volumes grew by 5.9% last month, beating economists' forecasts. Part of the reason was the weaker pound. A fall in the value of sterling compared to the dollar and euro made it cheaper for foreigners to shop in the UK. Malls in Northern Ireland, for example, said they saw a bump in business due to visitors from across the border in the Republic of Ireland, which is part of the Eurozone.
Today I just happened to buy a large item. It was a PC that was priced at home at around €550, and I got it today for 299 sterling. That's a rarity. That probably wouldn't happen too often, but I was happy enough to come up for that.
It's starting to rise, but I'd say come Christmas, especially for the drink, alcohol, I'd say there'll be a huge move up because it's way cheaper up here.
But many experts predict the mood, along with the weather, will darken in the coming months.
Certainly, intentions to hire people on a permanent basis have declined very, very substantially. So what is probably going to happen, in my view, is that we're going to see something like what we saw in the financial crisis in 2008, which is that people were kept at jobs, but quite often at lower wages, or certainly not increasing wages, which is actually quite interesting at a time of rising inflation.
The next big test for consumer sentiment will be the Christmas period. If the experts are right, Santa's shopping list in the UK may be one of the shortest in years. Azhar Sukri, TRT World.
Well, Azhar joins me live in the studio now. The ratings agency Moody says that it has some glimmer of hope for the UK and the rest of the world. Why the change of heart?
Yeah, they're looking at a reasonable rate of about 1.5 to 1.2% growth overall in GDP this year. That's certainly not a recession, certainly an improvement on what happened in 2008, for example. Look, one of the main reasons for optimism is the weaker pound. As you mentioned there, we've already started seeing the positive boost that that's giving the UK economy. But remember that 80% of the UK economy now is actually based on services. So any boost that exporters and manufacturers get from a weaker pound is actually going to be quite muted over the whole of the economy. The other thing to remember is that they're basing this projection on more government stimulus, more fiscal stimulus. But look at the example of Japan, for example. The longer that goes on, the more pernicious the long-term effects of these things are. So the sooner the UK returns to a normal economy, the better it is going to be for them.
Very briefly, Azhar, what are the normal, everyday people saying?
The latest survey by Market Survey, the survey agency, is looking at about even Stevens, about a 50% of people saying that they expect their finances to improve over the next 12 months. But again, there's a lot of pessimism in some of the other surveys going on right now.
OK, Azhar, thank you.